yesterday's matchup between France and Morocco, today's games, and tomorrow's games. Got to talk to you about the U.S. because you were out in Seattle for that USA-Belgium game. Pre-game, the environment looked incredible. Second half, maybe not so much, as everybody was a little disappointed with the result. But just talk about your experience out there in Seattle, and especially pre-game with everybody amped for that USA-Belgium game.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about as far as the second half goes. I think that game ended in the third minute after the Malik Tillman free kick. I don't think anything at all happened after that ever. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. I just memory hold the entire rest of that game. But no, it was awesome, man. I mean, just from my perspective, like growing up in the game, around the game, and being a diehard of this sport since 2006, really, with that World Cup showing when they just completely flopped. That's what hooked me. I was 8 years old. Slowly but surely seeing the rest of the country get behind it more and more. Numbers came out, over 50 million watched that game. For me, it was a culmination of 20 years from that 06 World Cup to now being in Seattle, being at that stadium, being there with my dad, just enjoying the fanfare before the game, during the game, and even the conversations after the game, right? Like it's about picking up the pieces. It's about how do we move forward. Like the fact that people are arguing about it means people care now. 20 years ago when they got bounced in the group stage of that World Cup, nobody really cared. So it's awesome to see how far it's come. Even in defeat, like the fact that the ball is rolling and people actually care. The people always say, you want to be loved or hated, right? It's indifference that you don't want. That's fine. If people are going to be complaining about this team and arguing about this team, that's good. As long as they're not indifferent about this team, that's good. But the environment was awesome, and the result was awful. That's I guess how I would put it. And we'll move on from there.
Joe, give me a grade. What would be the grade that you would give the United States men's national team? I was talking to you before the tournament. You said round of 16, they should get to. Quarterfinal would be a dream. We get to the round of 16. They're favored to beat Belgium. Everybody's excited. And obviously, the way that they lost the game is really what I think is killing a lot of people. It's how good they looked for so much of the tournament. And then for it to kind of just be the same old story with a really good European team kind of beating them up. But if you had to give a grade for this USA team after their tournament, what would it be?
Yeah, I'd still give it a B. I mean, what they did in the group stage and the game against Bosnia, it captivated the country. I mean, there's never been that level of hysteria and excitement about this team. It's a bad taste we're left with the Belgian game, but all that goodwill doesn't just get erased. And I mean, there's certain people who are prominent in the media, I won't name names, who all of a sudden got on board after the Bosnia game and then jumped right off board after the Belgium game. Those people don't matter. We don't need them. They're not part of the bandwagon necessarily. The people that we're trying to get in to grow this game in this country, it's the 8 to 14-year-old kid who's now going to be in the backyard taking free kicks like they're Malik Tillman. Those are your formative years watching these World Cups. And regardless of the outcome of the Belgian game, the group stage and the Bosnia win, that hooked all those kids. And that's going to stick with them forever. So in terms of the impact, in terms of the way the team played, I'd give it a B overall, and that last result doesn't bring it down any further for me. When you peel it back a little bit too, it's a casual observation versus an in-the-know observation. Belgium didn't really do anything great in that game. They didn't really take it to us in that game. We just completely self-destructed. So the fact that we went into a game like that as favorites, the fact that we didn't really get bludgeoned like we have against Seattle. When we played Belgium in 2014, they outshot us about 1,000,000-1, and Tim Howard just stood on his head. This wasn't that. They did what they had to do. They were casual about it, and we just completely self-destructed. So even the defeat itself came a different way, so I still give it a B.
What do you think is the most important thing for this U.S. roster to make sure they improve on in the next 4 years? Is it retaining Pochettino as coach, upgrade to the defense, to the goalie? Is it trying to develop one of these world-class players? Like, if you probably had to pinpoint one thing that you think they need to improve on or retain, what would be that thing for you?
I think it's a little bit of all the above, but I don't mean that as a cop-out answer. You look at all the teams that have success and deep runs in this tournament. You need a coach who knows what they're doing, whether that's Pochettino or somebody else. I think it could be Pochettino, a name that many people don't necessarily know yet, and we hope again to bring you more in the tent and hook you for 4 years and not just come around every fourth year. BJ Callahan, he was the assistant in the interim when Greg Berhalter took his leave after the last World Cup. Now he's the head coach of National and MLS. He's done some terrific things. He's going to be in the running for that job. I think very highly of him. There's a couple of other names. Pellegrino Matarazzo, somebody who's coaching in Spain right now from Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Really good pedigree, won Copa del Rey, which is Spain's national cup last year with Real Sociedad. It was a big upset. That's a tournament that's usually won by the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. So getting one of those coaches or Pochettino and making sure you have a coach in place, that's of the utmost importance. The biggest thing is really fleshing out the depth. That's what stood out in that Belgium game. They got to turn on the bench and bring on Romelu Lukaku and Jeremy Doku, and they still had Kevin De Bruyne just waiting in the wings. We don't have that level of depth yet. The top-end talent is finally there. No world-class talent, to your point. There's no world-class player. The top-end talent throughout the starting 11's there. We maybe go 13 or 14 deep, but you got to go 18 deep to have a chance in this tournament, and that's what I think people are going to see. There is an outstanding crop coming up, and the whole golden generation thing about Pulisic, Adams, McKennie, all these guys, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer. You need to really take a step back. It's a golden generation by our standards, but in 10, 15, 20 years' time, I think we're going to look back on this period as a foundational era and not a golden generation, because what's coming next, as long as these players continue on their trajectories, it dwarfs the team that we have right now. And that's not any disrespect to this team. The guys I mentioned paved the way. They set the foundation. They were the gap bridgers from missing in 2018 to where we are now. So I think this is the foundational generation, and we've got a ton more talent in the pipeline. So I think just fostering it and developing them properly is what's going to stand out the most, more so than a coach or anything else, because players win this tournament. Lionel Scaloni doesn't really do much for Argentina. He just kind of sits back and he lets Messi and crew do their thing. We don't have a Messi, and we probably never will. There'll never be another one. But it's about getting the depth, the talent in the players, and you just got to have the right pieces in place to develop it.
We're talking World Cup here on You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM with Joe Malfa. Give Joe a follow on X at MalfaJ98. Play-by-play for ESPN, MLS, and NWSL. Joe, let's talk some quarterfinals. Let's start with the game that we saw yesterday, France and Morocco. France is a perfect 6-0 in this tournament. They've outscored their opponent 16-2. Mbappe's been incredible. Dembele, Olise. I mean, that trio is just ridiculous that they have. They're the big favorite right now to win it all. I think if you polled 100 people, probably 80% of them would tell you that France probably ends up winning it. If I gave you France or the field right now to win the World Cup, would you take France or would you take the field?
No, you got to take France. It's one of those things where you just don't go away from what your eyes are telling you. Your eyes are telling you they're an absolutely dominant team. They don't have a weakness. The only thing that I think can stymie them is a team who plays a ton of possession ball and really good defensively and maybe takes them to penalties at 0-0 or 1-1. But you just look at this team and you just expect them to score 2 or 3 goals every game. Going back to what I just said, though, there is one team that can manage that. There is one team that hasn't conceded a single goal this whole tournament, and that team would be their semifinal opponent in Spain if we get chalked today with Spain beating Belgium. So I think their toughest test actually comes in the semifinal against Spain, and I think anybody who comes over from the other side of the bracket in the final, they bludgeon. And I mean, that includes Argentina, that includes England, whoever they go up against in that final. I think they're taking it in 90 minutes, no trouble. It's really the Spain game that can be their landmine in the semifinal, and that's assuming Spain gets through today.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm with you. I think it is going to be France and Spain in the semifinals. Do you think Spain struggles a little bit today? Would you, if you had to make a wager, would you take them in regulation, extra time? Do you think we see a lot of goals? Is it an under game? Because, as you mentioned, and I mentioned in the first segment, Spain hasn't conceded any goals. So what would be your play if you had to make one in that Spain-Belgium game?
My play today, I parlayed 3 distinct things that really amount to a specific outcome. I parlayed Spain win in 90, both teams to score no, and under 2.5. So what that insinuates is a 1-0 or 2-0 Spain win in 90 minutes. I forgot what the number came out to. I should have checked that before I came on, and obviously it's changed now because I placed that last night. But that's what I'm looking at, 1 or 2-0 Spain. I think there's maybe a little bit too much hype on Belgium just because of the way the U.S. game went. But they completely changed their style. They sat back. They let us self-destruct, and we obliged. We did it. Spain won't do that. Spain is not going to make the mistakes that we made in that game and give those free goals to Belgium. And I don't think Belgium has a way to score against them. Let's not forget that Belgium was on their way to losing 2-0 against Senegal before Senegal just completely crumbled in the final 5 minutes of that game. This is the Spain team that's going to dictate this whole game. As I mentioned before, they haven't conceded a goal this entire tournament, and I don't think this Belgium team all of a sudden is going to do it to them. So for me, I'm looking at Spain winning in 90 by a 1 or 2-0 scoreline. That's how I play it.
All right, I like it. Tomorrow we got 2 more matchups, and Joe, I think a lot of people are expecting Norway and England probably to be the closest played. If you were to bet a draw into any of the quarters, I think most people would like this one the best. It's such a fascinating matchup, right? Because we know the story with England, and it just has the feel of after that all-time win in the Azteca, how England would it be for them to turn around and drop a game like this to a Norway team that's rolling? Holland is playing great. I can't wait for that game tomorrow. I think England is going to find a way, but it's probably going to be brutal in typical England fashion. How do you see that one playing out?
It's going to be brutal. It's going to be in the Miami Heat, and these teams are going to really struggle with that as far as the weather and the humidity. So that maybe leads you to an under, but on the flip side of that, England and Norway have both played pretty much every single game. You look at the list, it's 2-1, it's 3-2. So I'm really not sure how it's going to go scoreline-wise. I would say both teams to score is something I'm looking at, because even if it goes the distance past 90 minutes to 120, it's probably getting there at 1-1. I cannot imagine a world where this one goes 0-0 through 90 minutes. So I'm thinking both teams to score. I like England to advance. If you want to play either side in 90, I would lean England. I think that Norway's run feels like it comes to an end here, but everything is so agonizing for English fans. The one thing on every England fan mind right now is you're going up against Erling Haaland, who plays in the Premier League with Manchester City, and he's going to drive that dagger through your heart and then just parade it around the Premier League all year long, and you're going to have to look at him as a reminder the whole time. So it's the English doubt that the other shoe's going to drop, but then there's also the conventional wisdom. They are the better team. It feels like their biggest hurdle was going on the road to Azteca, battling through that the way they did. It just feels now like what was holding them, almost, PJ, you're going to love this one. It feels like 2018 Capitals finally beating the Penguins. They got through the difficulties of that Congo game coming back late, winning it 2-1. They got through the Azteca, playing down a man. It feels now like there's a level of invincibility to them where I could see them going to the final, but then they run into France, and we know what happens when you run into France. But that means they get through Norway, and if I had to pick something, I'd go 90 minutes England.
Can't wait for that game. And then, Joe, the final quarterfinal matchup that we get is going to be Argentina and Switzerland. Look, we use the term survive and advance a lot in March Madness, but you can definitely use it for Argentina throughout the knockout round. Cabo Verde took them to the brink. They should have lost to Egypt, but they're still alive. They're a big favorite again against Switzerland. We know Switzerland just wants to drag out the game. They want to play for extra time. They want to play for penalties. They want to do the same thing again against Argentina. Do you think Messi and company advance yet again, or is this finally the game where they get tripped up?
Yeah, they're going to advance again. I can't see them getting tripped up. I could see Switzerland pulling them into 120 minutes and dragging them into the deep end, but this team feels very Kansas City Chiefs from 2 years ago. And again, right up until if they go up against France, I think France beats them by 2 goals in the final, similar to how the Chiefs got bludgeoned by the Eagles in that Super Bowl. But that Chiefs team just found a way. You thought they were dead. They found a way. This one very well could be boring, 0-0 through 75 minutes, and then a magical late moment from Argentina to win it 1-0, or it could be 0-0, 1-1 into extras and maybe penalties beyond that. You mentioned earlier that some people thinking maybe Norway, England is the one to play if you want to pick a draw and get that extra juice. I think it's the Argentina-Switzerland game. If you're somebody who's of that mindset where you want to you're itching to pick a tie in some game here, I think it's the Argentina-Switzerland game, because Switzerland just has that ability to make the game so dull, so boring, suck the life completely out of it, where it's going to take either a complete mental error from Switzerland or a moment of brilliance that we know Argentina is capable of, but this is something that just screams 0-0 into the now proverbial fourth quarter after that second half hydration break.
We're talking World Cup here with Joe Malfa and You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM, Westwood One Sports. Joe, a couple more for you. What do you think would be the bigger storyline of this World Cup, of a team hoisting the trophy? Messi winning back-to-back and getting another, England finally breaking through, Mbappe winning his second, and putting himself amongst the conversation of the all-time greats. In your eyes, what do you think would be the biggest potential storyline from this World Cup?
Can I just say yes? We've gotten to that point where it feels like every possible winner has that type of great storyline. With no offense to Spain, they're almost the most boring one, and even for them it'd be a second star, and it would be Lamine Yamal, who's burgeoning through as a teenage winner like Pele was 5 decades ago. Or it's England, like you said, winning it for the first time since 1966, and the hysteria that would come with that. Or it's France and Mbappe, who 3 finals in 3 straight tournaments and 2 trophy lifts. And even if you take that a step further, they were in the final in 2006, and they won it in 1998. So really, you're talking about a 28-year stretch where they're in 5+ finals, and they've won multiple of those. So there's all that, and there's Messi winning a second one and going out fully on top and putting to bed any debate that shouldn't already exist anyway, but putting any other possible debates to bed. Take your pick. I mean, with no offense to some of the other teams that fall to the background, if you get any of those top 4 seeded teams who win, there is an epic storyline that goes with it. And if you want, you go further. If Norway comes through as a dark horse with Holland and is sort of the first ever outsider to win a World Cup, that's an awesome story. I think we're in a point right now where everybody who's in it and can win it has an outstanding story, except Belgium and Switzerland. You two are boring, and I hope you both lose this weekend.
Very good. Joe, last one for me. You mentioned that you do like France to win it all. I kind of was comparing maybe how this World Cup is going a little bit to the NBA playoffs, where France and Spain could be your OKC, San Antonio. And then if France gets upset, like Oklahoma City did, that could work out for England or potentially Argentina, right? Where if France matched up against both of those teams, I would like France. If Spain were to play England or Argentina, I think you could make a real case. So if you couldn't have France and say Spain pulled off the small upset, would you still like Spain to win it all, or would you potentially take England or Argentina?
No, that's a great shout. If Spain is able to upset France, then I'm going to the other side of the bracket. And from a betting perspective, the different ways to play that, where you kind of cover yourself either way. The other day I saw that there's certain books offering lines on to be eliminated in a penalty shootout. I don't think any team can beat Spain or beat France in 90 or 120. So France was plus 400 in that. So if you think that France might not win it all, sprinkle something on that to lose in a penalty shootout, be it in the semis or in the final. If you think that Spain is the best team to beat France, go ahead and put a money line bet on Spain to advance past France, and go ahead and put a money line on, or a bet on France to win the title. One of those two things, because if France gets through, they're winning it all. Otherwise, you're getting it right there with Spain beating France. So that's the way I would look into that, just depending on the books and the numbers and how you hedge things. But it's a great shout. I think France's toughest test is in the semifinal against Spain. If Belgium does France a favor today and upset Spain, then forget it. They're going to waltz through. They're going to lift this thing. It feels very much like Baylor in 2021 in March Madness, where they were just a team that was not going to be beaten, and at the end, they were a team that did not get beaten and never looked close in that tournament. That's what this French team feels like. It's just a complete buzzsaw. It might go down as the greatest World Cup team of all time if they continue the way they're going and they don't trip up.
I mean, Joe knows his soccer, but he's giving you 2021 Baylor. He's giving you the Chiefs. He's giving you the Caps. The man knows his sports. Give him a follow on X at MalfaJ98, play-by-play for ESPN, MLS, and NWSL. Joe, always good talking to you, buddy. Thanks for the time, and enjoy the rest of the World Cup. We'll catch up again soon.